Welcome, my dear friends, to another reaction on my channel. This time we're gonna watch John Oliver describing countries, and I'm interested for that, because I personally enjoy very much people making fun of countries, especially if it's their own, but also if it's about other countries, because I think we all see it with a little bit of humor, we can all capitalize and maybe have a laugh about ourselves. And so yeah, that's what I will try to do here. Video is 18 minutes long. He describes 53 countries. We'll see if we take every single one or maybe make a break between. But yeah, let's first start here.
Justin Bieber's penis. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. I would never do that to you.
Yeah, I don't want to see that either, so let it go away.
Afghanistan. It's just the tip of international conflicts. We jumped in too fast, went in further than we originally intended, and now we're pulling out way more slowly than we said we would.
So, the pulling out slowly part is especially true, since I'm a German. I remember, like, last year, was it last year or the year before even? When Germans decided to finally retreat from Afghanistan. It was really chaotic when the Taliban took over the parliament and all that stuff. And I remember German politicians saying people, Afghanistanis, or I think that's the way they're called in English also, who worked for us or helped our troops over there would be evacuated as well, but that never happened. So that was a discussion in Germany about why we didn't help the people that helped our troops or helped our country, so to speak. So yeah, that's what comes to mind when hearing Afghanistan.
America, land of the free, home of the brave, inventor of Chinese food. America, the greatest country on earth. You hear that, Denmark? You go fuck yourself. Yeah, I don't care what the World Happiness Index says. Michelle Obama told me that we're #1 and her arms make me feel safe.
Yeah, it's the thing with the, I was about to say the Baltic states, but the Scandinavian states, of course, they are always scoring the highest scores on the World Happiness Index. So yeah, it doesn't help to write about that, John. I think they actually might have a point there.
Argentine tradition, every bit as grand as the tango and hiding Nazis. Both of which they are flamboyantly good at.
They really are. Many German, not leaders, but people who had a certain amount of might in their hands actually managed to retreat from Germany and move to Argentine. Personally never informed myself about if it was really that bad, but I can imagine that it was. And also the thing is that the people could never be held accountable for their crimes, which is really a shame. So yeah, that's what I think about Argentina, what comes to my mind.
Australia, an entire new country with prisoners, and trust me when I say that is not a good idea. Literally the only good thing to come out of that experiment was Hugh Jackman, and that took 180 years. It was worth it, but it was a long time. But it was worth it. It was worth it. But that's 2 centuries. But it was worth it. But Australia, not just the country where Russell Crowe lives, but very much the Russell Crowe of countries. Azerbaijan, a country you think about so little you didn't even realise that not only is that not Azerbaijan, it's not even a landmass, it's the Caspian Sea. This is Azerbaijan. Belgium,
we always blame Americans for their bad geographical knowledge, but I would not be able to tell you which is Azerbaijan on the map. If you give me some names and I have to fill that in the area, maybe I can do it then, but with this map, I couldn't tell you which one of these is Azerbaijan from the get-go as well. So yeah, I think the geographical knowledge of Europeans is mostly better than the ones of Americans, but certainly not in all parts of the world.
Casual acquaintance, France crops out of its Instagram photos. Belgium, though Belgium does have one thing in common with Budweiser. Historically speaking, Germans refuse to acknowledge that it's even there.
This is obviously making fun of how Belgium was run over in both World Wars by the Germans. And Budweiser, he's talking about the American Budweiser, I imagine, and yeah, that's not a beer. I agree with that. So yeah, it's quite an apt comparison to compare Belgium with Budweiser.
Bolivia, a country you think about so little, you haven't even realised that's not Bolivia. This is Bolivia. Actually, that's still not Bolivia. This is Bolivia. Or is it? Or is it? This game is never not going.
I'm fairly certain that this is Peru, and I think this is Paraguay, if I'm not wrong here. Could be wrong. South America. This is Brazil, this is Argentina, this is Chile, and I think this is Colombia. And the rest, I would have to throw the dice and maybe get it right.
Bolivia, a country you think about so little, you don't even realise that's not Bolivia.
That's Venezuela,
that's Colombia,
I think. Ah.
Except it isn't, that's Venezuela. That is Colombia, except it isn't, that's Bolivia, which is the one we were looking for in the first place. Which one's Colombia? There is simply no way to know. Brazil, home of that one famous statue that I don't know the name of because I'm too embarrassed to Google. Come at me, bro, Jesus statue.
It's Christ the Redeemer, or I think in Brazilian or Portuguese, Cristo Redentor, maybe, if I'm informed right. But yeah, the statue obviously absolutely iconic, and if you look at it from the air, it's really impressive, and I wonder what it's like to actually witness this firsthand.
Brazil, the country with the second most valuable Amazon on Earth. To Brazil, where even the Amazon rainforest looks like it's gotten a wax. Brunei. Wait, let me back up for a second. There is a country called Brunei. It's located here in Southeast Asia. Specifically, it's located here on the island of Borneo. Anyway, Brunei falls under the Saudi Arabia rule. If you're a tiny, wealthy, strategically located country with oily business underneath you, the whole world is your friend. Canada, the country you think about so little, that's it, end of sentence. Canada, it's basically 5 hockey rinks surrounded by bears. Canada, the country with a thriving economy based on making jean jackets for geese, and of course their booming sexy Ryan manufacturing industry. Canada, what you get if America and Britain had a baby they abandoned in the snow. Chechnya, the place that, when it shows up in text at the beginning of an action movie scene, promises you some shit is about to go down. Crimea. Have you seen the Crimean people? It's basically this guy. This is what you won, Russia. This man and the entire history that his face represents.
This issue just kept escalating. It began with Crimea back then, and now it's just a depressing Ukrainian-Russian war. Yeah, nothing good to say about it really, so I will just not do it here.
And I just want to be clear that this guy is having a really good day. That is what smiling looks like in Crimea. And why shouldn't he be smiling? After all, it's his 16th birthday. Chechnya, a sentence uttered almost...
That's also a cliche that also exists in Germany, that Russians really don't look really friendly at you and in general. And I think I also heard that about Russia, actually, that, or the Russian regions, the Slavic regions, that you just don't smile at strangers, which is weird, as I imagine, for Americans, because from what I hear from there, it's really common to be friendly to strangers. So yeah, that's kind of two worlds colliding there, and this is maybe why the Americans are so puzzled with the Russian expressions sometimes.
As infrequently as, man, I hope I get seated next to a baby. China, the country responsible for huge technological advances, and yet it still can't seem to get pandas to fuck. China in microcosm right there. A gigantic machine looming over its subjects, forcing them to be more coordinated than anyone thought was physically possible. China. Manufacturers of everything except that piece of crap clay jar you got for Mother's Day. China, a 3.7 million square mile panda fuck pad. Cuba, Florida's teardrop tattoo. Cuba, to the world's least fun Castro district. Cuba, or as JFK used to pronounce it, Booty Island. Djibouti is a country with a rich cultural history and a multi-ethnic population of over 850,000 people, but you are right, it does also sound like a butt. Denmark, you go fuck yourself! Yeah, I don't care what the world World Happiness Index says Michelle Obama told me that we're #1 and her arms make me feel safe.
Yeah, no, that's still funny.
Denmark, also known as Wrong Norway, different Sweden, and that's actually not Finland.
See, that's the area where Europeans obviously know more about geography than Americans, but it's very logical that we do, because it's... my country is even in this picture, so if I didn't know, it would be really strange. It would be like being in North Dakota, being confused what comes south of you. So yeah, it makes all the sense that Europeans know more about European geography. I couldn't name all 50 states to you, so yeah, that's that.
Denmark! What would happen if a suicide note was a country? Egypt, or as ISIS calls it, next. Egypt. Home of the world's first botched nose job. Estonia, a country where, from the looks of it, they still worry about Shrek attacks. Europe. You know, that thing Belgium is. Finland. Finland is on all the good lists, like countries with the best pastries, or best countries to host your overseas lesbian wedding. France. To drinking an entire bottle of red wine and then leaving the party with the host's wife. France. Country that looks at snails and says, I have got to get you in my mouth. France, the Frenchest thing imaginable. A croissant sitting in a cafe eating a baguette. Or maybe a mime feeding invisible cheese to his invisible mistress with a visible erection. Spain, Barcelona. You are the worst. The worst.
I mean, Barcelona, it's right. Call it Barcelona. Nothing to, like... I mean, I get why English-speaking people would maybe be tilted, because Barcelona makes a lot of more sense if you're just speaking English, but actually learned some Spanish in school, so yeah, it feels more natural even to just say Barcelona, because if you the phonetics of Spanish, if you have that in mind, you will say Barcelona by yourself. So yeah. I get why Americans don't get this, but it's really not that hard to understand, in my opinion.
Gaza, horrific. Germany, where the national motto is, let's stick to the present, shall we?
I mean, you got a point, but that's actually not really valid, because Germans actually take our history really serious, especially the World War II history, which he's probably referring here. We take that very seriously, so yeah, the joke's funny, but it's not very accurate.
Germany. A country whose idea of a bedtime story is 2 children being left to die in the forest before being nearly cooked and eaten and then murdering an old woman. Sleep well.
We have even better ones, though. There's the book called The Schruwwelpeter, which means... messed up hair, and his name is Peter, the messed up hair Schruwwel, and yeah, in that book there's some guy who's always sucking on his thumbs, and someday his mother is annoyed with that and she just cuts off his thumbs. And there's all that stuff. There's someone who called Hans watching in the air, because he always watches in the air while running around. And someday he falls into the water and drowns. So yeah, all that kind of story, which used to tell young children how they should behave. Nowadays, sometimes called or considered inappropriate towards children, which I partly agree with. But it's also, if you don't read the stories as serious, it's still, I think, interesting. With Hansel and Gretel, however, yeah, that's an entire different story. Not really anything valuable to learn from that.
Germany. Who dares have the hubris to assume they deserve great wealth for mere excellence in trivia? Beautiful language. And Wolfgang Boschbach! Just like honey off the tongue. In Greece, a country of and in ruins. To Greece, the most recent Greek tragedy. Greece, it spent money like a rapper whose accountant is Nicolas Cage. Greece, the home of geniuses like Socrates, Aristotle, and this guy in Mykonos with an elephant's trunk thumb on his dick. It's a vibrant country. Greenland is icy, distant, and semi-autonomous. It's exactly Trump's type. Guam, the Pacific territory that unequivocally sounds the most like a Batman punch. Guatemala, a country you think about so little, we're just going to leave up a map of Central America and make you look up which one it is.
I will not look it up, but I will guess here. These two, I think they hit the football wall, so that must be Honduras and El Salvador, or the other way around. This is Mexico. This is Panama, so I'm going to go with this one, because I think this is Costa Rica. I'm not exactly sure. If you care to, let me know. But I think it's this big one here. Or maybe this small one. I'm not sure which of these is Costa Rica, or maybe some of these even. I don't know. Also not my strongest geographical region, as you might notice here.
Crack a book. I'm not here to spoon feed you what's Guatemala. Hong Kong, the former British colony now back under Chinese rule. Hong Kong is in an odd situation. It's a limited democracy inside a communist country. A setup that their own constitution describes as one country, two systems. It's like the two girls, one cup of governance, with one girl having a lot more control over what happens to that cup. Hungary. Yes, Hungary. The fantasy home for every little girl who's young enough to love castles, but not quite old enough to be aware of neo-fascist political parties. Iceland. Seems in Iceland the line of succession goes Prime Minister, the guy in charge of the fish, the Secretary of licorice-flavoured schnapps, a litany of elves that live in assorted boulders, and...
Funnily enough, there's actually places in Iceland that are reserved for gnomes and other fantastical creatures, because I think the official explanation is you can't exactly know if they exist. So it's better to protect them, which is kind of cute, I think. But yeah, I wonder what comes after the gnomes in the hierarchy of Iceland.
Finally, anybody in a wool sweater who's feeling political. Iceland, come
Okay,
on guys,
then.
they have cars in Iceland. It's a
They do?
modern Nordic island nation and their English is excellent. India, and honestly, the last time a British person said that, we didn't leave for about 200 years. India, or as we once called it, Britain's spice rack. India. It just narrowly beats out America as the country where a 20-minute lecture in this accent is the least welcome. India, or as people with this accent have historically called it, mine.
See, this is what I was talking about. He's from the UK, which I knew already, but at the latest now I would have gotten it. He's self-ironic with it, because if he shoots against all the countries, he'll have to take some in also. Yeah, so I'm glad that he's able to do that also.
Iran. Not just the setting for 2013 Best Picture winner Argo, also a country. Iran, the greatest threat to Salman Rushdie since Padma Lakshmi's divorce attorney. America's relationship with Iran. It's the Star Wars of international relationships. Good in the 70s, terrible for a long time, and now hopefully on the brink of a revival. Iran, let's say crippling sanctions. To Ireland, a country with a slightly higher Irish population than the Dropkick Murphys. Ireland, Europe's Boston, home of more red hair than Deborah Messing's shower drain. Well, the less contentious spot on the globe, Israel. Israel, drama-wise, the opposite of Canada. Italy, the country that gave us spaghetti, the Colosseum, and in a roundabout way, the guy who played Turtle. Italy. We all know the three most famous stereotypes of Italian culture are that they have close family relationships, they turn international negotiations into shouting matches, and they enjoy cooking pasta for dogs. You know, Italians. Japan, a nation so vibrant, not even Sofia Coppola and the band Air could make it boring. Japan. Earth's pervert uncle. Luxembourg. Did you know that if you Google interesting Luxembourg facts, the result is just a page that says no? Luxembourg. What happens when you leave Liechtenstein out in the sun too long? Bam! Mexico, number 7 on the list of things that Donald Trump is most frightened of, just ahead of Muslims and just behind the concept of self-reflection.
What's that? The sharks cauliflower capital gains? I don't know. Capital gains. Oh, that one's also not bad. The dark and the one, or I can't read unfortunately, but capital gains. I like that. Isn't he like broke AF in the meantime because he has to pay like 300 million in fines or something?
Mexico, or as you may know it, spicy Canada. Mexico, the only place you can get a truly authentic volcano quesarito. New Zealand. We are not Australia, New Zealand. Now, you may know it as the homeland of Lord, or that place where people who are happier than you go on vacation. Now, Zealand. The country that, like a bad edible arrangement, is full of fucking Kiwis. New Zealand, the country whose major form of transportation is bungee jumping. New Zealand this week. Hobbit, Australia. New Zealand, Australia's chia pet. New Zealand, Australia's Australia. New Zealand, home of the planet's most worthless bird. You are nothing. Look at me. You are nothing.
It's not true. He's like really cute. I want one. I wonder if I can keep him in my hand. He looks really small also and very cute with his like tiny little beak.
New Zealand. Wallaby Fuck Island. New Zealand. If you want an image that sums up everything great about New Zealand, this is the flag. What Olympic team would not be proud to march beneath that? Nigeria, the country whose prince is going to be sending you some of that money he owes any day now. North Korea, Earth's Florida. North Korea, named Best Korea for 70 years running by North Korea magazine. North Korea. Alphabetically speaking, the world's foremost Korea.
No, nothing really to say about North Korea, at least not here.
Norway. You know, one of these. Norway, the left testicle in the frigid sea penis of Scandinavia. Norway. The only reason we have Winter Olympics is so you freakish snow people can pick up your stupid cross-country skiing medals.
But that's really the thing with the Winter Olympics. Like Norway wins biathlon, long running on skis. Norway wins all of these categories every time. You look at the Summer Olympics, you're seeing the expected countries like the US, China, sometimes even Germany in the upper levels. But the Winter Olympics, you can always assume that Norway is going to be on the top 3 somewhere. So that's kind of funny to me. Yeah. So you actually got a valid point while you're still being funny with it.
Pakistan, well, probably drone strikes. Panama, a country you think about so little, you don't realise that's not Panama, that's the outline of a Scotty dog. This is Panama. Papua New Guinea.
But it was really similar.
Pairing as Sofia Vergara and Reese Witherspoon. Peru. Life isn't just a fairy tale land of alpacas and pan flutes, Peru. At some point, you've got to pull your weight. And don't give me the whole, oh, but John, our population is the size of Texas and the war on terror is a hopeless geopolitical paradox. That's bullshit, Peru! Philippines. The world's Rorschach test. I see an upside-down feather and my father's disappointment. Souls to the Poles, which is not to be confused with my charity foundation, Souls to the Poles, which sends shoes to Polish people, despite the fact they haven't asked for them, don't need them, and have repeatedly asked me to stop. Russia, a country that will continue to be funny until it suddenly isn't. Russia, the prequel and sequel to the Soviet Union. Russia, the future home of 45 million Ukrainians.
Oh, that didn't age well. Oh, he was too right about that one.
Russia, Earth's Death Star. Russia, where despite appearances of the contrary, the cathedrals are not edible. Russia, the real Borscht Belt. Russia, the country that gave the world Tetris, Merkins you wear on your heads, and potentially the 45th President of the United States. Russia, Earth's Death Star. Saudi Arabia, birthplace of the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah, it's very bad to not imagine, Oliver.
Prophet Muhammad. Our graphics department, must have decided against that one for some reason. Saudi Arabia, the country with bans on pork, alcohol and porn, or as it's known in America, a Florida breakfast. Saudi Arabia, the country that contains Mecca, which is like the Muslim Mecca. Saudi Arabia, the Mecca of Meccas. Scotland. Americans know it as the birthplace of Shrek and that accent you think you can do but actually can't.
There's actually a Scottish reaction channel here on YouTube. His name's Mert. Who's Mert? If you're interested in reactions, maybe check him out. He's reacting to German stuff mostly, so yeah, that's why I also know him. And yeah, he's a really fun guy, so go check him out.
Sweden? Who hasn't spent 20 minutes in IKEA and immediately wanted to launch an attack on Sweden? Someone has to pay for what I'm going through here. Switzerland, where the national dance is collapsing from altitude sickness. Syria, until 2011, a pretty nice name for a baby girl. Justin Bieber's penis.
Oh, he's back.
I'm kidding.
I don't want to see that.
I would never do that to you. We begin with Syria. Much better. Turkey, a country that shares its name with a bird, and not just any bird, the hottest bird.
Yeah, that they want to be called Turkey now, I think. Because of actually this confusion with the turkey bird. So yeah, internationally they prefer to be called Turkey now, I think.
Looking good, my friend. Looking good. Turkey, a country, a bird, and the meanest thing you could call someone in 1956. Turkey, aka Diet Syria. Turkey is a nation in crisis. Turk is a dating service that helps you fuck long-haul truckers.
I guess.
The country named after the 4th best sandwich and the 3rd best burger. Turkey, the country that's always much bigger than you think it is. Ukraine, that's a Libyan pool party waiting to happen. Ukraine, a nation that, like the human appendix and your grandma Mimi, you only really hear about if something's gone horribly wrong. Ukraine, currently Russia's fastest growing import. Ukraine, or as Vladimir Putin might call it, Phase 1. The United Kingdom, home of fascinating wildlife like the fearless mating foxes of Kent, and beautiful mountains that go largely unexplored by the carefree mating foxes of Kent. It's also home to some of the world's most gifted artists, like whomever took this picture of the stoic mating foxes of Kent. Unfortunately, the UK is about to be completely fucked, in a way not unlike the resigned mating foxes of Kent. The United Kingdom, America's rough draft. The United Kingdom, birthplace of the Beatles, and yet very much the world's Ringo. The United Kingdom, a place whose very name after this week's events is beginning to sound a bit sarcastic. United Kingdom, where I am fondly known as who? The UK, Earth's least magic kingdom. The UK, the only 2 letters that promise more iciness and bad food than these 2. United Kingdom, Europe's America. United Kingdom, the slightly damp corpse of the British Empire. United Kingdom, America's deadbeat dad.
Oh, please continue doing that stuff to your own country. I love it. In Germany, we also like to make fun of the British. So a British guy making fun of the British island or the UK is so funny to me. I love it.
UK, where 2,000 years of civilization led to this face. The UK, the country that gave the world the Beatles and then punished it with Coldplay. Uruguay, a country that you think about so little that you didn't even notice that that's not Uruguay, this is Uruguay. Venezuela.
Of course. I just some minutes ago I said that what was marked there was Paraguay. Now I was thinking I was wrong, but no, he's still trolling with that. But it always works, so I don't think he should change that. Maybe.
Not to be confused with Venezuela, because that is the hot new celebrity couple that's just Ben Affleck fucking a vuvuzela. Yeah. He's happy. He's happy.
That's good for him, I guess.
Venezuela is the country famous for giving the world oil, 7 Miss Universes, 6 Miss Worlds, and of course, most importantly, 1 Wilma Valderrama, who I like to think of as the Miss Universe of that 70s show. Venezuela, a country you think about so little you didn't even realize.
No. I'm not sure this time. This is Venezuela.
That's not Venezuela. This is Venezuela. Actually, that's not Venezuela either. This is Venezuela. Except it isn't because
Paraguay.
Venezuela was the first one all along. But the fact
That's what I said.
you didn't notice is the point. Venezuela, aka North-South America. Yemen, home to 26 million Yemeni people and 27 million American drones. The Earth. You may know it as that blue thing Bruce Willis is always trying to save. Or from its famous collaboration with wind and fire. Or just simply as that place where George Clooney lives. C'est tout pour ce soir. À la semaine prochaine. Bonne nuit, mon amour.
So yeah, that was apparently 53 countries. I didn't really count them, but it seems valid to me, and I love humorous shows in general, and I think John Oliver, the British guy in America talking to, in this case, talking to a German, I love it. This guy is really funny to me, and if I find similar videos to this, I might have a look at them, especially if he maybe talks some more about European or German matters. I would be interested in that, and yeah, see you next time maybe.